Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 18th of October, 2019. Leah's ready and eager to get you the news. We have a great show to bring you today. Oh my gosh. Microphone's still there.
Hey
Thanks,
guys,
Bailey.
stay with us.
Thanks,
Bailey is here with us. There's a lot of wires here. Woo, Bailey. Oh, now she's going to lay on her dog bed. Good dog. Good dog.
That's nice. That's a good looking for you. Somebody should take a screenshot of your face like that. That was really pretty. Okay. You know how hard I worked to set this camera up in just exactly it takes me like 5 minutes to get it where I want it. And then thanks, Bailey. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable, this dog. All right. So anyway, I don't even know I can fix it. It's I am one of those people, I want it and then it's not going to be, and y'all can see the blue line. It's going to drive me crazy. But anyway, we got a great show to bring you. We've got Project Veritas exposing CNN. Now, did you know that Trump is going to file a lawsuit against CNN?
Did you know?
What?
We're going to cover that in our
Okay, well, Miss Know-It-All, we're going to cover Tulsi Gabbard
I would
and
be
Clinton.
remiss in not knowing. You guys, I'm going to wait. You're going to have to stay.
One thing we're not going to cover, but I'm going to cover right now, is Trump's rally in Dallas last night.
We may cover that a little bit.
He's so funny. Can we play the clip with the...
I have the presidential.
Okay, all right. So Leah, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I do want to do the mail call at the start of the show today because we always wait till the end. But Lori sent us a card. Lori from Pennsylvania. Happy fall. Happy Halloween. Hope this finds you in the Halloween spirit, enjoying all the fun of this wonderful season with the ones who mean the most to you. She says, thanks so much for the great shows and getting the truth out to the world. Have a very happy Halloween and fall. God bless, Lori. Thank you so much for that, Lori. I'm going to...
Send us your letters. We'll reread them. We will read them on air.
I just covered up Leah's doll. No, yeah, that's Leah. We covered up Leah. All right, so without further ado...
yeah, let's jump right into it. I'm going to play just a clip of this Project Veritas. You want to go to their YouTube channel. It's not down yet. I waited to see how many people be blacklisted for
sharing it.
We got a strike for sharing it, I think, last time.
But this is the only thing that, it's so legit. It's undeniable. Hang on. Wait, before you... I know, and I don't want to give a punchline away, but I do want to read this. There was this one line that really got me. Trump in general... the only way this will go down is when Trump, dies. Hopefully soon.
That is what she means, is that's a CNN correspondent.
I mean, this is ridiculous. The only way it's going to go down is when Trump dies, hopefully
field
soon.
Production supervisor.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So this is crazy. So it's beyond James O'Keefe, man. You gotta hand it to him.
Well, and I have to say, it's this whistleblower here. Mm-hmm. James O'Keefe facilitated getting it out there, but...
Right. I want to make sure they can read We might just want to stand for this.
My name is Kerry Porch. I'm a satellite uplink technician. I'm a contractor at the CNN Washington, D.C. Bureau.
But Jeff Zucker, basically president of CNN, has a personal vendetta against Trump. It's not going to be positive for Trump. He hates him. He's going to be negative.
I decided to wear a hidden camera.
Media created response to it. No, you created a response to it. I want you to get full play every single day. The media created the Trump.
I decided to secretly record the 9 a.m. rundown call meeting, and it's basically run by Jeff Zucker, the president of CNN.
We're moving towards impeachment. I mean, we shouldn't pretend, this is going one way, and so all these moves are moves towards impeachment.
When I came to work at CNN, I mean, it was my dream job, and that dream actually just turned into a nightmare.
So I just want to say on the Lindsey Graham front, I know that there's a lot of people at CNN that are friendly with Lindsey Graham. Time to knock that off, and it's time to call him out. And I think what's going on in America now is really fundamentally
he was calling Fox News fake news and a propaganda machine. And with what I saw, I'm like, that's pretty much what CNN was. Like, it's just pumping out propaganda.
The fake conspiracy nonsense that Fox has spread for years is now deeply embedded in American society, and frankly, that is destructive to America, and I do not think we should be scared to say so.
I just want them to own where they're at. Like, hey, if we lean left, cool, let's just say we lean left. If we lean right, let it be known. But again, it just dovetails back to that thing. I just want people to have the information to make up their own minds.
Right.
He's known Trump for a long time. Like, they worked together back during the apprentice.
And hates his guts.
Because it's the story. I know we're going to have a tendency to think we're doing too much, but it's the story.
Let's start the
Trump crusade. Man, what was it like the morning after his past election?
So he goes on to talk about what it was like after the election, and I have to say, for some of these reporters, you have to feel for them, because they were like, CNN used to be news.
Yeah.
They used to be news. Now, this next one, that was part one. It's 20 minutes long. We just watched a small snippet of it. This next one is where they are exposed for picking basically the winners and the losers in the Democrat debate. And most importantly, what you're going to find out today with the tweet storm of Tulsi Gabbard, she's not taking it lying down. They don't like Tulsi Gabbard at CNN.
Right.
And this exposes that.
These tweets from Project Veritas.
Who is CNN unfair against right now on the debate?
I think probably Gang or Globalstar or one of the lesser ones. Just because they're going to talk about Biden and Warren. They're not going to mention the others.
CNN's obviously pro.
They want to cover the people who are at the top. They don't want to cover the bottom.
CNN like.
CNN, I think it was Warren a lot. Like, they seem to chop it up a little bit. Well, right now, because he's just like a place. When you're Bernie third, or Kamala and Peter like tying, or like back and forth before them.
So you can be a Republican, Democrat, whatever, that's fine. But it's very obvious, it's an unwritten rule that if you are center right, or heaven forbid, full right Republican Trump supporter, then you are not welcome at CNN.
I also think we should be doing a segment somewhere on what Kamala Harris faced by the agency. And others are talking about. It's not going to happen, but I think it's a good segment in the show. Should Trump's Twitter account be suspended? It's obviously what Kamala Harris raised. Others are talking about it. It's not going to happen, but it's a good talk. It's a good segment.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually came to CNN a registered Democrat. I campaigned and voted for Bernie in the primaries of the 2016 election, but I still consider myself a Democrat when I came to work here. And from what I saw, it totally rocked my world. Spent many sleepless nights just wrestling with the fact that all that I thought I knew and hoped to be at CNN was false.
Wow.
Why don't we show a Biden rally or Warren rally in
We don't.
We don't. So we saw all Trump stuff even when he talks about the economy.
They probably think it's boring. I mean, Biden rallies are like.
Yeah, Biden rallies. Good point.
People would change the channel.
Well, Biden's rallies are actually daycare. So
It's Newsville.
Biden's rallies, he's like, it's great to be in New Hampshire. Joe, you're in like North Dakota. You're like not New Hampshire.
These guys, they all know it. They all know it.
Kamala Harris when she was running for Senate in California. I can tell he's also like Biden.
And then,
I think it's the one they don't
okay.
like a fight. Yeah, they don't like Tulsi Gabbard.
David, are we taking Andrea seriously now?
They really don't like Tulsi Gabbard.
Wow.
And so there is that.
I mean, we could have told you that. You could have told other people that. But the fact that they're admitting it, I mean, this show promises to be earth-shattering. I mean, We are winning. We are so hardcore winning lately, it's not even funny. We always say when the devil comes at you with a pitchfork and horns, meaning not as an angel of light, you can see exactly what he's doing, you have won.
Exactly.
And they are completely exposed.
Yeah, so here's some portions of part 3.
Portray the contrast, but really it's partly because like conflict is what sells. Nobody wants to hear 1 minute canned statement.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah, it's great. It's like
conflict. Create clicks, get more money. Create clicks, get more money. All you gotta do is take an anchor and put them at the desk, tell the news. We're so busy trying to get appointment viewership. We don't, even though we're totally left-wing, we don't want to admit it.
When Zucker took over, it wasn't until Trump that we ended up being called Trump all the time.
It's the Trump that we're doing. It's like this every day.
They sold themselves to the devil. It's sad because there's so much news going on out there, but they don't cover any of it.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money. Corporation. We could be so much better than we are. Well, and you learn that in journalism school. We're supposed to be middle of the road. That's our job. Now it's just infotainment. That's all it's become. There is no true media news outlet.
one of the tapes, Patrick, he was like almost 30-year veteran. He basically said the same thing that I'm saying here, like, hey, we used to do the best and we used to report news.
We used to cover news. We used to go out and do stories.
We used to cover news. We used to go out and do stories.
Oh, the Ukraine thing? Or just Trump in general?
Trump in general. We knew this would go away when he died. Hopefully soon.
Now, Lee was covering that up, and it was kind of quiet, but he literally says, that's the quote we started with, Trump in general, the only way this will go away is when he dies, hopefully soon.
The motto that CNN put out earlier this year, the facts first, that's what I want the news to be. That's what it should be. That's what it used to be.
So, with that in mind, with all of that in mind, we are going to go, this is like, I could not believe that this happened, but it did. Earlier today, it came out that Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian.
Now, they've been saying that, but who said it? You said it came out.
No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
It's hard for me to think and speak and bring up the right
it's hard for
article.
Leah to think and speak. She's
And
much
bring up
like
the right
Maxine
article,
and Nancy.
think and speak. Hillary Clinton was on a podcast, and she came out with this really weird conspiracy theory today or yesterday, and I guess it came out today, early this morning. And here's what she said. They're also going to do third party again. I'm not making any predictions, but I think they got their eye on someone. Who's they? She says the Russians. On someone who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her. And that's just the thing. Everybody says Democratic. It's just Democrat. Democrat primary, and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she may not, because she's also a Russian asset. Yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally. They know they can't win without a third party candidate. They. So I don't know who it's going to be, but I guarantee you they will have a vigorous third party challenge in the key states that they most needed. They Russians, I don't know. This is so insane. It's so insane. But the epicness of Tulsi Gabbard,
love her so
hitting
much.
back here. I just read it right before we went live, and I said to myself, I had a rough day, but this wipes it all away.
Right.
And I just found that Hillary Clinton is a gift. that keeps on giving. Like,
ain't she
for
though?
a long time, I would say, you know, and I say it, you know, every once in a while, I still do. If you're having a bad day, just remind yourself that Hillary Clinton is not president.
You haven't said that in a while.
We haven't said it in a while.
It's worth repeating.
But, you know, if you're having a bad day, just remind yourself that Hillary Clinton is not your president. And when Hillary Clinton, the pit that they dig for you, they're going to fall in. That's the message I want to give to you guys for the end of 2019 and into 2020. The neocons, the deep state, the devil, even the devil in your life. Okay?
Preach it.
Things have been turning in the spiritual realm. And they have gone, and she keeps saying they. Well, we're going to say they. Because it is they. It is the deep state.
Their pronouns are they, them, theirs.
They are digging pits right and left, but they don't know they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to calculate it anymore. And they keep falling in their own pit. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you're not ready for this, but go ahead, get on your seatbelt. Bitter, twice-failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has accused Representative Tulsi Gabbard of being a Russian asset who is being groomed for a third-party run to help President Donald Trump win re-election. On Friday afternoon, Tulsi Gabbard responded to the slander. And I'm just going to read it. Great! Great, by the way. Great. That's always start with a positive. Thank you, Hillary Clinton. You, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and the personification of the rot that has sickened the Democrat Party for so long, have finally come out from behind the curtain. From the day I announced my candidacy, there has been a concerted campaign, whether it's Google, CNN, MSNBC, to destroy my reputation. We wondered who was behind it and why. Now we know. It was always you. Through your proxies and powerful allies in the corporate media and the war machine. Afraid of the threat I pose. It's now clear that this primary... I can't get this out. She literally says this, and I read it once and it did not register, and when I read it again, it registered. She literally says, it's now clear this primary is between you and me. Don't cowardly hide behind your proxies. Join the race directly.
Wow. It's so
Oh, this is what we call drop kick to the moon. Oh my word. Oh my word. Going for the jugular. Oh my word. Oh my word.
So, but what's really interesting is that even though she says this primary is between you and me, she does address the fact that all of these people are Hillary Clinton's proxies. You know, and so it is Tulsi Gabbard against Hillary Clinton and all the proxies.
So, the people that she did the podcast with, I guess they were asked. When asked if the former Secretary of State was referring to Gabbard, Clinton spokesperson Nick Merrill said, if the nesting doll fits, this is not some outlandish claim, he added. This is reality. Wow. So I want to take a second and just kind of show you where we're at on Twitter because, we're not done yet because we have Jill Stein response. Because she's the collateral damage here in Hillary Clinton's tweet. Dr. Jill Stein says, HRC's rant is Exhibit A for how the establishment is using the new Cold War to crack down on dissent and feed the war machine. Instead of addressing the crises working people face, they're painting progressives as the enemy. It's as if they're trying to lose to Trump again, says Dr. Jill Stein. If HRC really believes all independent campaigns are Russian plots, why isn't she calling for ranked choice voting to make it impossible for evil foreigners to split the vote? Until she does, all this Russian hysteria just looks like cynical McCarthyist left punching. It's a shame HRC is peddling conspiracy theories to justify her failure instead of reflecting on the real reasons Dems lost in 2016. You can slander progressives as Russian assets, but you can't hide the fact that the DNC sabotaged Sanders and elevated Trump to set the stage for HRC. Michael Tracy says Hillary's assertion that Jill Stein is a Russian asset is also a craven, debunked lie. Everyone who is inconvenient to the Democrat Party is now being
surreptitiously
controlled by Russia. That's the deranged political climate we're in. Congrats to all who helped foster it.
It's practically surreptitiously.
Exponentially more vile. Former security state apparatchiks, I don't know what he's saying, apparatchiks like Susan, who inflicted the Russiagate disaster on the public and were rewarded with prestigious media platforms. Note to conservative media. Let's see. She says this. She routinely demolishes Trump, and most of her policy positions are fundamentally opposed to what you advocate. She's just not a mindless partisan bot and actually challenges her party's leadership orthodoxies. And I actually would like to make note of that because the progressives they kind of walk back and forth. There was a couple things that Trump did that made them support Trump, and at the same time there's a couple things that Tulsi did that make conservatives support Tulsi. And I believe that this is the healthy portion of debate that needs to be had, because I would much rather see Trump debating a Tulsi Gabbard on real issues.
I would just love that so stinking much.
Than to see these crazy people out there, okay? Because here's the thing. Tulsi Gabbard is a decent human being.
Right.
And so you want to see a good game between two.
No one can stand up in this election against Trump. Mm-hmm. Not one of their candidates, and obviously Hillary Clinton, because she's an old has-been that failed twice already. And so none of the candidates that they have, except for Tulsi, would be able to go head to head against Trump and give us a real nail-biting, match. And because she's a real person, and the rest of these people just spew out,
And here's the thing, though.
The talking points.
Trump will work with anybody on issues that they agree with, and he will work with the Tulsi Gabbard. He'll work with anybody on the left.
Yeah.
Trump doesn't hate people. He doesn't hate the left. He doesn't hate Democrats.
I know.
Okay? Tulsi Gabbard would be the total opposite there of Trump. She does not hate Republicans.
Exactly.
She doesn't hate conservatives.
You mean counterpart, like...
Yeah.
Not opposite
Well, I meant opposite political spectrum.
Sure.
But where they align is that they don't hate their political rivals and their political opponents.
And also where they align is in not, wanting to bow to the war machine and so on and so forth. So I don't usually like to read the negative comments in here, but sometimes they work well for the point that I want to make. And on Facebook Live, we have Murray Brace says, "What a bunch of pretending clowns you are, the new Diamond and Silk." And then laughing, crying, smiling faces. I'm so glad that you're here, Murray. Hey, we've been around for at least as long as Diamond and Silk, maybe longer. Actually, we've had our YouTube channel for way longer than Diamond and Silk. But that being said, I take that as a compliment. However, what you're missing here is you've just joined. You're not listening to the facts. And when we come together, you do understand we're libertarians, right? Which means that we would be more conservative, I think, than liberal. And so we're able to clear-headedly, you say we're pretending, we're able to clear-headedly look at all of the candidates, whether it's Trump or Tulsi or Bernie or Elizabeth Warren and all of these people, and literally lay out their strengths, their weaknesses, where they're right, where they're wrong, where they're honest, where they're lying, regardless of a party preference.
Michelle makes a really good point all the time. And if you're going to be a good debater, you have to be able to argue the other side's position. It's
called apologetics, and it used to be something that was taught to children in public schools so they could be a free thinker.
Yeah, and so...
I know your side so well, I could argue it for you better than you.
Exactly.
I know their side so well, I could argue it better than them.
If I wanted to, absolutely. I could be the best darn tootin' progressive out there.
Exactly.
All right.
That's how well we understand their position, but they don't understand our side at all.
Right.
They couldn't debate our side. They couldn't give our talking points because they don't understand it.
And I also do understand where a lot of progressives are coming from.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I know why that they are upset.
Where their
about,
heart is.
Yeah, I know a lot of the progressives have a really good heart.
And we agree with a lot on a lot of the problems.
And so I like to come
disagree on the
together
solution.
with
Right.
progressives and say there are other solutions. We do have the same common enemies. And so when you're sitting down and you have to be in a society with people, and you've got to be able to calmly look at all sides of a situation and say, this is what is going to work the best.
Right.
All right. So Trump has seen a lot of these videos from Project Veritas and CNN, and his lawyer is not happy. So his lawyer has sent a letter to Zucker of CNN, Jeff Zucker of CNN, and his lawyer's name, who's literally
Harder. It's literally Harder. His lawyer's name is Harder.
But no, Zucker's name is Mr. Vigilante.
No, it's
Vigilante.
not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Vigilante.
Well,
Is
Mr.
Zucker's
and,
attorney.
Oh, okay.
Is
Do you think that's a made up? Like, I'm going to be a lawyer, and so then I'm going to give myself a fake name, like I'm going to change it?
I don't know, but your
Vigilante.
website expressly represents the public in writing that you are journalists, truth seekers, united by a mission to inform, engage, and empower the world, and you stand for excellence in journalism and your broadcasts or products. Your slogan is the most trusted name in news. Your Facebook account claims you are widely known to be the most trusted source for news and information. Your anchor, Don Lemon, stated on June 6, 2019, as a keynote speaker at Financial Times Live Future News, we don't profess to be a liberal network. We're a news network. We have a commitment to the truth and to facts, which has really been paramount, especially always at CNN. Mr. Zucker, in an interview with Vanity or Variety, published August 2nd, 2016, our error, as opposed to others, is truly fair and balanced. Statements like excellent in journalism, most trusted source for news and information, commitment to truth and facts, and true and fair balance are statements that would be widely considered throughout the journalism community as news industry, as journalism that complies with industry expected ethics.
Accepted. It's hard. Leah's is way smaller than what I can read on the television.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I should read. It says practicing journalists, and then they talk about ethical journalism should be accurate and fair. Journalists should be honest, and then this is the ethical journalism. Recently released video footage of individuals alleged to be your employees indicates that your reporting relating to President Trump is contrary to your own mission and is the aforementioned code of ethics. Your own employees appear to share CNN state that CNN is focused on trying to take down President Trump, driven by a personal vendetta
that Mr. Zucker purportedly has against him when he was the producer for The Apprentice.
So he actually cites some things. Jeff Zucker has an ongoing feud with Trump. That is a part of the videos. I totally want to do just like the truth, the dog reporting, but then you have higher up executives like Zucker and other people who are saying we got to make profits. So it turns into like certain things that you are just trying to attract viewers, and then it becomes a comedy show. Don Lemon comes on. He makes you think he's objective news, but he's blatantly opinionated. Either disclose where you're coming from or get someone who is a little bit more objective. CNN purports to be facts first, and that's just not the case.
This one right here really gets me. There's just nothing we can do if Zucker wants impeachment every single day to be the top story. He wants impeachment above all else. And then I hate how everything is all Trump all the time now. Everyone at the network complains about it. They hate covering Trump every day. Our Democrat interviewers are like softballs compared to the Republicans.
Wow, interviews.
And I watched that one this morning, and it goes into length about how they are so soft on Democrat interviews as opposed to Republican.
And so basically, never before in history of this country has a president been subject to such sustained barrage of unfair, unfounded, unethical, and unlawful acts. So your actions are in violation of the Lanham Act among other applicable laws by constituting misrepresentations to the public, to your advertisers, and others. So that I don't know where this is going to go, but Trump is suing CNN.
Yeah, they're seeking monetary retribution here. And I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. We're going to see if they do like a payout or if they're going to let it go all the way to court.
This will be awesome. So last night, Trump has taken off the gloves. For a long time, his rallies kind of were the same. And I think that, this is my analysis here, is that he kind of had to be a little bit monotone during the Mueller investigation. Now the Mueller investigation is over.
Right.
And now they're going after the Russiagators who started the hoaxes. And he is free now. Yeah. He's not being investigated anymore. There's this crazy impeachment happening, but it's not an impeachment investigation as of yet.
Right.
They're all talk, no action. Okay? And so Trump is free to be himself. Last night, this was one of his funniest moments.
Oh, that's really quiet. Hang on, wait. He says, they're saying,
I can be more presidential.
I can be more presidential. This is him being presidential.
I've always said I can be more presidential than any president in history, except for honest Abe Lincoln when he's wearing the hat.
Except for honest Abe when he's wearing the hat.
No, it's much easier. Being presidential is easy. All you have to do is act like a stiff. Look.
All you have to do is act like a stiff.
The crowd went wild. I think I stood up out of my chair.
Ladies and gentlemen, effective. It is a great honor to be with you this evening. And the media would love it, and everybody would be out of here so fast. You wouldn't have come in the first place.
He says, and the media would love it, but everybody would be out of here so fast, and you wouldn't have come in the first place. And he's so right about that.
In the first place.
So great.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go to Mexico. If you didn't know, Mexico is run by a bunch of crazy drug cartels, then I'm sorry that your head's been under a rock. But here's the thing. El Chapo has been arrested, is extradited to United States in 2017, but he has sons. Now, at a routine traffic stop, they arrested or something like this one of his sons. And then the cartel come out to get everybody out. And the Mexican military says we can't stand up to the cartel, and they released the boy, the man. So
they literally let El Chapo's son go because the cartel came and said let him go, and they said okay, here's his son.
Okay, so
you may have him now.
Police arrested the son of one of Mexico's biggest drug lords, but then released him after gunmen laid siege to a house where he was being held. His father, El Chapo, has been locked up since 2016. Has this made violence in Mexico worse? El Chapo is behind bars. Wait, I'm going to read this. I know, people are going to... So why is Mexico's murder rate rising? Joaquin El Chapo Guzman escaped twice from Mexican prisons. In 2015, he slipped out along a mile-long tunnel under his cell. He was recaptured and extradited to America in 2017. He now faces life in prison. He's unlikely to get out a third time. A Brooklyn court has found El Chapo guilty of running the Sinaloa drug gang. The Sinaloa is regarded as one of Mexico's most violent and powerful organized crime groups. Bill Deval. But the successful manhunt has not stopped. The grim rise in Mexico's murder rate and it may make things worse. By the way, by El Chapo kept things in order. So there were 33,341 murders recorded in Mexico, in one of the hardest places to obtain a gun in the world. Mexico has like one gun shop in like all of Mexico.
Well, they don't need them actually, because they just sell them on the open market.
So obviously you have the turf wars and the other gangsters coming to the forefront. So here we have a video of where'd they get those guns? They didn't get these at a gun store. These are guys going to go get
El Chapo's son.
Yeah.
Joaquin. Are there more guys than just two guys in a truck?
Oh, wait. I have more.
I mean, come on.
Hang on. Mexico security forces flee after cartel gunmen launch a full-scale war to release El Chapo's son at the drug lord's Bastion. Yeah, Bastion. In Culacan. In order to protect lives, Mexican authorities were forced to release the notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's son after heavily armed cartel gunmen launched an assault against security forces holding their alleged boss. It was Ovidio Guzman was briefly arrested after federal police patrol Ovidio came under fire from a house where he was holed up with 3 others on Thursday afternoon. Once the cartel learned the drug lord's son had been apprehended, groups of armed criminals began attacking police all over the city with heavy firepower, blocking roads and setting vehicles on fire. So here we have multiple vehicles on fire. More cartel reinforcements heading to Culacan, including another up-armored vehicle armed with an M250 Cal machine gun. Many of these technicals appear to have armored windshields as well.
Wow. There they go.
That's not something you see every day.
Maybe it is if you live in Mexico.
Yeah, the gunmen surrounded the house where Guzman had been nabbed with a force greater than that of the patrol. To all those people who love to ask me about growing up in Culacan, who binge watch all those narco shows and romanticize the capos, this is the reality of it, what real people in the real world endure.
Wow. They're like literally running for their lives. I would not be there with a camera. I would be in my basement. Because like stray bullets and stuff. Yeah.
¡Córrele, córrele!
That's gunfire. So I don't know how much more of that shooting went off, but like I kind of feel like they didn't put up any kind of fight. Like literally, like, okay, you're shooting at us. We're going to give you
the attacks
walking.
Were so vicious that authorities opted to suspend our actions lest the city degenerate further into a war zone. Cartel gunmen cruising through Culacan, and that was what you saw. They were just cruising. That was what you saw there. Another video from Culacan. This time, a cartel gunman using a high-caliber sniper rifle against Mexican police armed forces. I guess that's a guy right there.
Yeah. Whoa. Whatever he's got's powerful.
Yeah, they don't need to go to gun shows. However, the original raid on Guzman's hideout was anything but a routine patrol. Multiple reports alleged. Several videos show that police initially arrived at the cartel's compound in the city of Culiacan in full force, armed officers on foot, even trucks and jeeps with mounted weapons. I don't know what we're going to see here, honestly. Oh, so here's the initial police going after him. So they showed up pretty armed as well, and that's, you know, and the Mexican police and army and whatever, and they're outgunned. Yeah.
They gave them up, though. I mean,
look at how armored
they gave them up. It's crazy.
That is insane. Insanity. Yet masked gunmen working for the kingpin apparently overpowered them, trading heavy gunfire that left blazing vehicles strewn across the street and forced locals to take shelter in schools and supermarkets as shops closed to avoid the violence. Here's, unfortunately, dead people in the middle of the street. Authorities of El Chapo's home state of Sinaloa had no other choice but to release Guzman in order to protect lives. Mexican soldiers being overthrown by Sinaloa cartel members at a toll booth in Culiacan during today's shootout. Soldiers had to shake hands with them. Who's really in charge of Mexico? So they're literally going up to shake hands with the military, who they just fought.
No way.
What is this place? What is this place you call Mexico?
Wow.
With guys on one side with guns, and the guys, the good guys, so supposedly the police on the other side with guns. Look at, I mean, these guys, it's, and people don't want a wall. People don't want a wall. Their own government can't arrest one dude and hands him over and then shakes hands. When the government, like, seriously, you guys, you have to build the walls.
Hang on.
Yeah, but
you've heard for years about how corrupt the Mexican police is.
But we haven't had, I've never seen anything like this on tape. I've never seen the Mexican army or whatever shaking hands with, well, it looks like the army.
Cartel.
Shaking hands with the cartel saying, yeah, you beat us this time. Way to go.
It's like at the end of a football game.
Yeah, you got us this time.
We were just like killing each other.
Look at them shaking their hats. You know, we're really just brothers. We're really just friends. You know, we won this time. Thank you. We won this time. I can't watch this anymore. It's just absolutely insanity. Build the wall, baby. You got to build the wall because Mexico's not keeping these guys out.
Maya says, Mexico is crazy. I have friends that grew up there. The stories they tell, oh my goodness.
However, several other cartel-linked individuals were detained and wounded. Secretary of Security of Sinaloa, Cristobal, told El Financiero, adding that local authorities worked with the National Guard, the Army, and the Navy in the operation. Well, they messed that one up. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was sentenced to life in prison in the U.S. in February for trafficking drugs. Right. So, all right. I think that just Mexico is a. This should not be a thing. It's a thing, but it should not be a thing. Oh, here is one more video where they took their own video of their own guns in the...
Lancer 7377 says, build a wall, build a moat, make the United States a flying island. I'm cool with one or all. Ripaza says, blimey, a nation with more violence on the streets than London, England.
But the people can't own guns. I said, give every Mexican citizen their own weapon, and so they can defend themselves against the cartel. Right?
That's why the Mexican citizens can't have guns, because the cartel's in bed with the government, telling the people they can't have guns.
Oh my God.
We've historically called that circus music. I don't think it's racist, but when we lived in Oklahoma, we would hear it all the time. Like, it just kind of sounds like a circus.
Yeah.
And that's their music of choice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is their music of choice.
Curious Man says we should send in a couple of SEAL teams, give it a few weeks, and Mexico would be as safe as Gods of the Laker. Yeah, I don't think you might need a few more than a couple SEAL teams, but that's the whole point. We aren't here to police the whole world.
Right.
We're not even here to police a country at our border. We're just here to stop MS-13 and drugs and sex trafficking from coming over our border illegally.
Right. I guess so.
Or legally.
The crackdown on illegal immigration is actually hurting oil drillers. Get this. U.S. crude oil production growth may have slowed down this year, but the largest oil producing counties in the Permian Basin continue to feel a shortage of labor. The predicament for small oil services, business owners in New Mexico, is aggravated by the surge in worksite audits, investigation, and arrests as part of the U.S. President Donald Trump's tougher stance on illegal immigration. A growing number of owners of oil-related businesses in the second biggest oil-producing county in the United States, Lee County in New Mexico, now avoid hiring undocumented immigrants for oil field work, fearing the clampdown on immigration will affect their business. There are still oil field service business owners who continue to hire an illegal labor force. And those who want to play by the rules find themselves between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, President Trump's pro-oil policies clash with impact from the crackdown on immigration, which makes business owners idle during drilling rigs and equipment not being, because they have drilled out all the shale wells in Lee County, but because they can't find legal immigrant workers to do some of the dangerous, difficult jobs on the oil field that some Americans shun. Oil field business owners say the lack of a system to get illegal oil workers documented or given working visas is impeding the oil industry, blah, blah, blah. And we hear this over and over and over again. If there's a job that pays well enough, anybody is going to do it.
Right.
And the fact that they are always saying, and this is the same line that I hear over and over again, white people or Americans don't want to do the jobs. Okay, guess what? Americans will do anything. Guess what? We have people that pick up our trash. That's a pretty gross job. Like, there's a lot of things. I watched Dirty Jobs
With Mike Rowe.
All these people who have
And
their
their
own
jobs,
small
like,
businesses.
man, praise God, I don't have that job. But it's just a regular person that has the job. They are doing that job.
A legal American citizen. Okay?
And even here we're talking about these dirty jobs or anything like that. Just jobs in general. You know, whether it's your lawn service or tree work or whatever you can name that the illegals have come and taken over, the majority of it used to be Americans doing that job.
Yeah, legal citizens.
Legal citizens.
And here's the thing. Remember when they started oil drilling? It was Americans who started oil drilling. Now, I'm not for the fossil fuel use and everything like that in the oil drilling, but it was men who wanted to make money, and they did crazy things. Some of them lost their lives.
Do you guys remember that John Wayne movie where he's that oil man out there and like it's like the dirtiest job ever and the whole thing blows and it's dangerous, you can lose your life? What was the name of that movie?
Yeah.
Guys, men and women will do anything. That's how the West was settled. I mean, come on. You're not even giving... What has happened is people have turned into mamsy-pamsies.
Lazy people.
Lazy people.
Right. And here's the thing.
They raised them that way in the indoctrination camps called public schools.
If it's the line that says too dangerous that Americans shun, that is the most elitist, racist statement. I'm not a racist. I'm not an elitist. If Americans don't want to do it, it shouldn't be done.
Have you seen those tree climbers or those linemen and like ridiculous? I mean, the steel workers. I mean, come on. These are dangerous jobs.
Right.
People do them all the time.
Right. Exactly. So let's see. Where do we want to go to now? I guess I'm going to go.
Britt Boz says, the old adage of good fences make for good neighbors rings true between Mexico and the USA.
Speaking, I think you mentioned sex trafficking. So this is a story that I didn't really want to talk about, but I am going to talk about it. I actually could do it on Sunday, but this week culminated a huge
pedophile
worldwide effort of countries all over the world where police
That's what worldwide means.
Arrested over 300 suspected pedophiles across 38 countries, including Britain, the U.S., Germany, after dark web child abuse site hosting 250,000 sickening videos is shut down and South Korean ringleader is charged.
Wow.
It was a website called Welcome to Video, where kids sold to pedophiles around the world through the dark web. With more than 1 million clips downloaded, the site was uncovered by Britain's National Crime Agency during its investigation into one of the UK's most prolific pedophiles, Matthew Folder, who is serving 25 years in prison for 138 offenses linked to sexual abuse of children.
This is the point where I say I don't think that 25 years in prison is enough. But you know what I would be happy with is 25 years in prison and physical castration, not just chemical castration. Just boom, just cut it off. Done.
Death.
Leah says death.
138 offenses. Seriously, you don't get out.
137.
137. You should not get out of prison.
And that's what they've charged with. I'm sure there's obviously more.
So I guess the South Korean suspect, Jong Woo Sun, was 23. He was running this website. 337 suspects arrested globally, 18 investigations in the UK, and 7 British men already convicted. American authorities have raided the homes of 92 people and today released the names of 34. I don't even want you to see the pictures. This is the website shut down. Let's see.
What we are here to discuss today, the sexual exploitation of children, is one of the worst forms.
I'm going to start that over. Doom, 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 doom. So it's good news, but it's sad news, and I don't like to cover it, but it is good news that they've been caught.
Sure.
Here to discuss today, the sexual exploitation of children is one of the worst forms of evil imaginable. Indeed, these crimes are so heinous they are difficult even to speak about. But our government has no higher priority than the safety of our children. For that reason, I am pleased to announce the takedown of one of the world's largest child sexual exploitation marketplaces on the darknet. Welcome to video. The seizure of its enormous cache of child pornography, and the unsealing of the U.S. indictment against its administrator, Jong Woo Sun. Welcome to Video was a Tor network-based child pornography site that accepted payment in Bitcoin. This was one of the first times that law enforcement saw the use of cryptocurrency in trafficking child pornography. According to the indictment we are unsealing today, the site hosted more than 250,000 videos, and users downloaded more than 1 million files. The site's child exploitation material totaled about 8 terabytes, much of which depicted prepubescent children, toddlers, and infants engaged in sexually explicit conduct. The site's upload page expressly stated, "Do not upload adult porn." As a parent, this horrifies me. And
I would just like to give a shout out. My initial thought was, how did they do it? How did they do it? How do they do it without losing their own minds?
You mean the investigators?
In the investigators, how? Yeah. And that's where my immediate thought goes, because it's so awful and it's so evil that most people will just, I don't want to know. I don't want to go there. I don't want to know.
Okay, so it's hard to explain this, but I think most of you probably would get it, even with listening to it. So when we listen to a description of anybody telling us anything, our brain goes straight to descriptive, and we're trying to envisional it, and let me get in it, let me understand it. When I listen to this, I literally shut off that part of my brain because I can't. I can listen to the words and I can understand it's bad, but I do not allow my brain to do visuals. I do not allow my brain to, it's not even like an effort. I just shut down.
So what you have to do is you have to dissociate. It's like doctors who have to take bone saws and open people up. Yeah. It's a form of dissociation, and abused people will do this as well. But doctors and professionals
like this, it's a way to protect the other parts of your mind.
When you're dealing with something that is so grotesque, or something that is like, you've got to deal with something so horrible. What she said was, it says don't upload adult porn over the age of 15.
That's unbelievable to me.
And this is one of the darkest sites, but it has now been brought down. Now, of course, people will flood to another one. But my question is, how do they think that they're not going to be tracked? I mean, it's the internet.
I know.
Right? If we are to disrupt these criminals, we can't just leave it to the police to track them down and pick up the pieces after abuse has taken place. We need the platforms where children are being groomed and abused to be regulated, so they are safer, and tech needs to change to protect the child.
Well, this was a website that was down. You had to download it.
Yeah.
And so the good news is they are going to be able to track these people down. I mean, I have like a handful of people that I know personally whether personally or, through knowing somebody who have been in the child porn addiction,
right,
and they were tracked down and prosecuted.
Right.
So it's not that difficult. So these people, it is good news. Even though they're not talking about the people, they're going to be able to track down who downloaded this and get a lot of them.
Yeah, and I'm just, so my prayer now, I thought about the rescuers, and then there was a girl who committed suicide the other day who was sex trafficked at 13 to 15.
Wow.
And she kept trying to go back to her abuser, and she committed suicide. And so the network there has got to be who's going to deal with these kids, who's going to help them, who's going to rehabilitate them.
Yeah.
The mind-body correlation there with the sex trafficking is huge. And you really have to be immersed in Jesus, in love, in forgiveness, in healing. And so, Lord, I just lift up these children who are caught up in these horrible things. I pray that you expose the darkness. I pray that you heal them. I pray that you break the curse that's on their mind. And I pray that you make it so that it's like it's never happened.
Amen.
And you bring healing to the families and healing to the investigators as well.
Yes.
In Jesus' name I pray, because they need life and they need love.
Amen.
And so I just kind of want to jump here to something funny, because if you dwell on that for too long, it will bring you down. Donald Trump met with, we talked about this, the Democrats up over Syria, and he tweeted this out earlier this week. Do you think they like me?
Chuck Schumer's face right here, it just kills me. I mean, these people are such establishment. I don't think, I was thinking about term limits the other day. I don't really care about term limits. If you're good, stay in, whatever. Yeah. But these people, they're just old and decrepit, and they're has-beens, and it's like, we're done with you. Even bring in some AOC, fine. Whatever. At least she's
we can
new
understand.
And young, and we can hear what she's saying. These people are just like,
there's a video
has-beens.
going around today with Nancy Pelosi where she just can't understand what she's saying. And I was like, she thought this word, then by the teeth word.
Yeah.
You just can't understand what she's speaking, and she doesn't even know what she's speaking. And so this was funny. Hillary Clinton asked to leave Costco after repeatedly accusing the sample lady of being a Russian asset.
Is this the Babylon Bee?
Yeah, you can read it. It's
okay.
fine.
All right. Washington, D.C., according to sources to a D.C. area, Costco, failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was asked to leave Costco again after repeatedly accusing a lady handing out food samples of being a Russian asset. It wasn't clear how Clinton had ended up in a Costco, as she usually has her servants go to the market for her. Some suggested she wanted to disguise herself and go be among her subjects to see how the other 99% lives. Whatever the case, the sample lady had apparently offered the failed presidential candidate a small paper cup of orange juice and told her the packs were on sale for $9.49 when the incident occurred. Orange? Orange? Like Trump? Clinton screamed suddenly, frightening the poor food demonstration worker. You're in league with him, aren't you? The failed presidential candidate lunged across the cart and attempted to pull off her face mask. Certainly, the lady was actually Vladimir Putin in a skin suit. When that failed and the woman shooed her off with a plastic glove, Clinton turned for help and began screaming, "Security! Margaret in the frozen foods aisle is a Russian agent! Help! Help! Our elections are being meddled with!" Guards arrived, but relaxed when they saw it was just Hillary Clinton. "Okay, lady, let's go," they said, grabbing her by each arm. "Thank goodness you're here," Clinton cried. "Arrest that woman! Can't someone help me out?" "Oh yeah, sure, lady, we'll help you out," the guard said, snickering as they dragged her toward the front door. According to sources at the Costco, this is the third time this has happened this week.
Yeah. So they've taken us from Russia to the Ukraine, and where there actually is legit election meddling, but it's from the Democrats working with a corrupt Ukraine. So Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, and it's so funny, Joe Biden should not have run. And people said this, like when in 2015, he shouldn't run, he can't run. He can't run because of his son. He can't run because his family's too corrupt. He can't run. People said that, but now all of a sudden they stopped saying it.
I know. That's
on the left, right? So here's what they're saying now about this Burisma company where he was getting the money. And the Joe Biden said, fire the lawyer, the attorney general who's investigating Burisma, and his son sits on the board.
Yeah. Hunter
Biden served as a ceremonial figure on Burisma board for $80,000 per month.
So though, hang on though. I mean, I'm a pretty honest and upstanding citizen. You keep dropping those.
I know.
Unbelievable. Every week I pick up, she's got this fidget pen from Eric Buskey, and every week she drops all of the marbles on it.
What does that
and
say?
I pick them up. Yes, she loses all of her marbles. But I'm going to be honest. For 80 grand a month, no. It would be tempting. I wouldn't do it, but that is a lot of money.
I would be a figurehead for 80 grand a month.
$80,000 a month? I mean, there's a lot of things that people would do for $80,000 a year. I mean, seriously.
So, Shavinsky, how do you say his name again? This other guy,
Zlochevsky,
the Kremlin's former Minister of Natural Resources and the founder of Burisma Holdings, reportedly hired Hunter Biden as a helpful, non-executive director with a powerful name. Okay, then there was this other guy, Owen Chinko, a Ukrainian businessman and former politician who knows Zlochevsky. Says Burisma's founder hired Biden in 2014 to protect the company in face of potential prosecution.
Zlochevsky
was investigated for tax violations, money laundering, and corruption, and initially cleared of any wrongdoing earlier this month. Ukraine's Prosecutor General Ruslan
Ryboshapka. That was really good.
Told reporters that 15 cases involving
Zlochevsky
were being reviewed. According to sources, Hunter Biden never visited the Ukraine, but participated regularly in biannual board meetings, all of which were held outside of the Ukraine. Sources also said Biden was appointed during a time when Burisma was seeking a foreign investment, a process which Biden helped by finding lawyers for the potential deal, which ultimately broke down when war broke out in East Ukraine. He was a ceremonial figure, a source said. Reuters reviewed payment records allegedly from Burisma, which show $3.4 million in payments to a company headed by Biden's business partner, Devin Archer, called the Rosemont Seneca Bohai LLC. It was about a little over a year, maybe a year and a half. Every month during that 18-month period, the records show two payments of $83,333 for consulting services, which sources say were intended for Archer and Biden. One of the sources also said that in their investigations of Burisma, prosecutors obtained payment records which showed activities prior to when Archer and Biden were appointed to the board. So there you have that.
Wow. Biden's son Hunter got new teeth, and so now he looks even more like his dad. Because they both now have, because he was a meth addict, and if you don't know, don't do meth. Like, don't do any hardcore drugs, but don't choose meth as your drug of choice, because you lose your teeth.
Yeah.
In a very quick, bad way. And so he got a whole new mouthful of teeth. Yeah.
So, Burisma did not directly pay Hunter Biden. Although the firm's chairman, Alan Apter, told the Wall Street Journal in 2014 that Biden and Archer would receive a salary for their independent directorship. The entity which actually paid the younger Biden was New York-based capital management company Rosemont Seneca Bohai, owned and controlled by Archer, his business partner. According to the Daily Caller, in each month between 2014 and 2015, Rosemont Seneca Bohai wired between $10,000 and $150,000 to Hunter Biden for undisclosed purposes, which totaled around $708,000.
Oh my gosh!
During the same time period, Burisma paid Rosemont Seneca $3.15 million for an unknown purpose, while Hunter and Archer sat on the board. And alongside career CIA spook Joseph Cofer Black, Senator Mitt Romney, 2012 pick for National Security Advisor in his failed presidential run against Barack Obama. It should also be noted that Hunter's father, Joe Biden, used his position to get out the prosecutor. Further complicating matters is that Burisma was just one of more than 30 entities and individuals who wired approximately $30 million to Rosemont Seneca Bohai in this time. $30 million to this company connected to Biden.
Oh my gosh.
Hunter Biden. Here's the China connection. Over the 17-month period that Hunter made about $700,000, Rosemont Seneca took a 20% stake at Bohai Harvest BHR, a Chinese private equity firm with close ties to the Bank of China that Hunter Biden has sat on the board of since its inception in 2013 and has vowed to resign by the end of October. He recently came out of hiding saying, I'm going to resign from this board. This is where the 1.5 billion figure comes in. The amount BHR aimed to raise in 2014, which was announced 2 weeks after Joe and Hunter Biden flew to China together on Air Force Two. It gets even more complicated. Just 4 months prior, in February 2015, Archer's associate investment banker Dan McClory said he, Archer, and BHR Partners CEO Jonathan Lee were pictured meeting with a leader of the Chinese State Assets Commission, which, as of 2017, managed $26 trillion in Chinese state assets. Group shot with the Director General of the Chinese State Assets Commission. He's the short guy at the center. McClory emailed his associates after the meeting. SASAC is the largest controlling shareholder in the world. I brought them to BHR. Jonathan Lee of BHR is third from the right. Fun times in Beijing. McClory adds Devin was stellar. McClory's email was received as evidence in Archer's trial. There was another trial of Biden's business partner, Archer. Rosemont Seneca Bohai held onto its 20% equity in BHR Partners until October 2017, when its stake was split in half between two companies, according to the Chinese business records. One of the entities that took portion of Rosemont Seneca Bohai's equity is BHR Partners. What in BHR Partners was Scantalelli's LLC, where Hunter Biden is one of two co-directors. Do you see how it's all interconnected? It's hard to follow. So this Scantalelli's, whatever, still holds its 10% equity stake in BHR Partners, according to the Chinese business records. The other director of this particular business is Eric Sherwin, a longtime business partner of Hunter Biden. On the same day that this particular business obtained equity in the BHR Partners, Hunter Biden's other partner, this Eric guy, was appointed as supervisor of the BHR Partners, a role that grants him the power to oversee the firm's financial affairs. This Eric guy still holds the role of supervisor of BHR Partners, according to the Chinese business records. Hunter Biden announced Sunday he would resign his position on the board of BHR Partners, but did not say whether this other business that he had would divest its equity stake in the firm, nor did he say whether his buddy Eric would step down.
So if he hasn't done anything wrong, though, why would he step down, number one? And number two, if all of this information is available from some reporting, what else is there that is going to be uncovered when AG Barr and the rest get through investigating? And we can go back to Trump's call with Zelensky, the new president of the Ukraine, and he said, listen, would you ask your people to investigate this? And I don't remember who it was. Was it on Tucker the other night? I don't remember who was saying this, but it's, to me, it makes total sense for President Trump, who legitimately, he was saying it has to be intent, right? Trump would have had to have the intent to nefariously be trying to undermine a political opponent. But they can prove, I think without any kind of doubt, that Trump literally thought that Biden and Hunter Biden had some nefarious dealings going on. And so if the intent of Trump asking the Ukrainian president and government to look into this, even withholding funds, because if he thinks that the Ukraine, the former Ukraine, regardless of this new president, was in on some 2016 election meddling, then Trump is well within his rights to say, listen, we're not going to give you any kind of funds until you guys get to the bottom of this and send us proof of your investigation.
You know, it's really interesting you should say that, because the National Review came out with an article today that said basically just that governments always do quid pro quos.
Right.
The question is, here's the thing, governments do not just say, hey, I'm going to do this for the fun of it. I have the trade deal or whatever is going to go between the United States and the UK. It's because it's going to be mutually beneficial. And that is what governments are set up to do. The question of an illegal quid pro quo is if something on one side is illegal to ask for.
Right. And it was not illegal for Trump to ask for them to investigate.
And so this whole impeachment thing is based on, even if Trump said, hey, we're going to hold back aid until you look into this, into the shenanigans. That's not illegal and that's not impeachable.
Exactly.
Because it looks really bad.
I agree.
Okay, it looks really, really bad.
You said exactly what I was trying to say.
And no, that's what you were trying to say. It was exactly what the National Review came out and said. It doesn't matter either way. Trump's fine.
Yeah,
Trump did what was should have been done.
Right.
We've talked a lot about China this week, and I'm happy about it because we want to talk about China.
Yeah.
I want the people in China to be free. Pence is actually going to do a Chinese speech, and it's got some the market spooked, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to delve into this article. Bad cop Pence Chinese speech. Trump is the good cop.
Okay.
Pence is the bad cop, and you've seen that.
Yeah.
And we wonder, why does Trump say these things? Because they play.
But it cracks me up because when I see Mike Pence, just like my thing goes to like soft teddy bear.
Yeah.
But whenever he's anywhere, this is Mike Pence.
I know he's the presidential.
I mean, that's Mike Pence. He's supposed to be this like tough guy, watchdog. But I'm just like, okay.
But he is a China hawk. Like, he knows what's going down in China, and I appreciate that. At roughly the same time that today's Boeing news hit, revealing that instant messages by Boeing employees in 2016 indicated employees misled the FAA about a key safety system in the 737 MAX, sending both BA stock and the broader market sharply lower as the biggest Dow component tumbled. A second report also hit, which added to the risk-off sentiment. Okay. At 12:20, Reuters reported that Vice President Mike Pence planned to deliver his second major policy speech on China next Thursday. However, with the market focused on the fallout from the Boeing news, this report was mostly lost in the noise. As Reuters reported, Pence would deliver the remarks for the Wilson Center at the Conrad Hotel in Washington. And if you didn't know this, Zero Hedge, I love going to Zero Hedge. It takes the financial market angle on most things. So that's why it's talking about the market in relation to Pence's speech. About a year after he harshly criticized, I loved that speech a year ago. He was in, I guess, at a hotel, and he just
it was really great.
China.
Was it a whole year ago?
I guess so. And criticized Beijing in an address at the Hudson Institute think tank, a speech that was widely viewed as the most critical remarks by such a high-ranking U.S. official in recent memory. The address will reflect on the U.S.-China relationship over the past year and look at the future of our relationships, Reuters noted. And while the tone and sentiment of Pence's speech are unknown, what is well known is that the vice president has traditionally been an outspoken hawk when it comes to China. As such, as Vital Knowledge pointed out, if Pence's speech this Thursday about China is anything like his one from October 2018, the markets will not be happy. As further reminder, the vice president has scheduled to deliver a human rights speech on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square massacre in June.
Oh, wow.
Only to have it canceled by Trump himself so he could secure a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Osaka. So he was supposed to do that, but he didn't get it through. As Reuters further notes, Pence's speech will be delivered just weeks after President Donald Trump gave a vague outline of the very first phase of a deal with Beijing and suspended a threatened tariff hike, signaling a thaw in the trade relations between the two countries. But at that same week, Washington put Chinese video surveillance firm Hikvision and dozens of other Chinese entities on a blacklist. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they did. It was kind of silent, and I wish the media would cover it. CNN should cover it. CNN should cover human rights abuses, but they don't.
Right.
So
all they can cover is Trump
dozens
impeachment.
of Chinese business entities on a blacklist to punish them for their treatment of the Muslim Uyghurs, the minorities, and they ratcheted up pressure on Beijing over human rights issues.
Good deal.
The risk is that despite the mixed signals, many China watchers see Pence's role as playing bad cop on China so that Trump can shift his tone when he sees fit to strike a deal with President Xi. So would Pence double down on his recent hawkish sentiment, or would the Veep turn a page after the latest trade war? I think that Pence is more a little bit like the rest of us. He has these principles and they're deep inside it. He doesn't have the business person to go back and forth. Like, I couldn't stomach it. I can't stomach good cop, bad cop. And I wanted to, with that in mind, a Uyghur American to Congress is testifying against China and may cost the lives of this person's parents. Uyghur Americans face regular threats from the Chinese Communist Party on U.S. soil and fear of having their families imprisoned in a concentration camp, says Nuri Turkle, a Uyghur American, told Congress on Thursday. He also noted that all Americans, thanks to China's pervasive presence in the American manufacturing supply chain, are at risk of buying products made by Chinese slaves and unknowingly enriching the repressors who oppose them. Turkle is the co-founder of the Uyghur Human Rights Project, which I think is incredibly interesting and I didn't even know existed. So you have this Uyghur Human Rights Project. It was founded by the Uyghur American Association in 2004 with a supporting grant from the National Endowment of Democracy. Its mission is to promote human rights and democracy for the Uyghur people and to raise awareness of what we talk about this. You have these ethnically and culturally a Turkic people living in the areas of Central Asia, commonly known as East Turkestan. The area is vast, constituting 1/6 of the total land area under the control of the People's Republic of China. The Uyghurs have a rich cultural history. While I'm reading this, you could probably bring up a picture of the Uyghurs. Going back 4,000 years before embracing Islam in the 10th century, Uyghurs believed in Buddhism, certain types of Christianity. Today, the Uyghurs practice a moderate form of Sufi Islam that lead predominantly secular lives. I'm trying to spell Uyghur.
Yeah, I got it.
But, forced labor, mass internment, and social control in Xinjiang. And so these are the opening statements. I wonder if I can get... I really want to see what he has to say. So let's see if I can find...
They look like a fascinating people, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, they're beautiful. It's amazing. It's actually amazing to me. I'm going to see if his video is on YouTube. We can just hear it as they, or otherwise I'll just read it to you.
They're really beautiful, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's see if I can get to his testimony. We've got Michael Rubio there. And I want you to hear.
Jesus says he must be born again. This labor is equated with salvation. A particular
of these labor flows are mixing beyond recognition.
I don't
Graduates
know.
from internment
really
camps now work
Is that
alongside
subtitles?
workers from flows 2 and 3. Products made by any combination of these workers are then either directly exported or shipped to Eastern China, where they may form components of products or be repackaged, relabeled, and then exported. As a result, many or most products made in China that rely at least in part on low-skilled, labor-intensive manufacturing can contain elements of
Does that turn up? Can you touch the box? Does this turn up at all?
And a shipping cost
That's it.
As a fluent speaker of Uyghur Chinese and Turkish. Michael Posner serves as the Jerome Kohlberg Professor of Ethics and Finance.
Salam, and thank you for having me today. In 2017, China's Xinjiang region embarked on the probably largest incarceration
in front of the
of an
subtitles
ethno-religious minority since the Holocaust. Despite international criticism, Beijing has persisted in this campaign. The reason for this,
you know what you can do?
now
Why don't you
clear.
bring it up from YouTube, and it should be at that moment so that the people can hear it, because I think it's more important that they can hear it and see some of this testimony rather than me I'll just kind of go over the article here while you bring that up. The Communist Party is believed to be imprisoning as many as 3 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities, such as the Kazakhs and the Kyrgyz people, in concentration camps in Xinjiang, where they are regularly subject to murder, rape, indoctrination, live organ harvesting, slavery, forced sterilization, and other human rights atrocities. Turkle, a U.S. citizen of Uyghur descent, told the Congressional Executive Commission on China during a hearing yesterday, that China's flagrant human rights abuses have pervasive consequences in America for all Americans. Uyghur Americans, however, must weigh their desire to speak freely with the potential of torture and murder of their loved ones. He says Uyghurs outside of China are subject to extraterritorial surveillance and coercion, even here in America. Our latest report on this issue documents these ongoing and flagrant violations of federal law on U.S. soil. They are telling us, we are watching you. Wherever you go, you are still Chinese. Even though you're outside of China, that doesn't mean that they can't do something to you, because they have your friends, your children, your parents, your relatives. Agents of a foreign power are surveilling and terrorizing our own fellow American citizens with threats to send their remaining family members to the camps if they speak out about what is happening in their homeland. And then asked by commission member Senator Mark Rubio to describe his personal experience, Turkle said that he does not expect to ever see his parents again, and that China may kill them or punish him for appearing before Congress. Let's see if I can
play that one first.
It's just a small clip here.
Mom is 68. I don't think that I will ever see them again unless the Chinese government allows them to spend the rest of their lives here with their 3 American grandchildren.
I know it's really
difficult.
soft.
I would be disingenuous for me to say that I have a normal life. I don't. Even testifying at this hearing may cost the lives of my parents. But, it's the right thing to do. I have to speak out. This helps me to overcome the sense of anxiety, sense of guilt, sense of desperation, despair. Because speaking for the voice of people is very empowering.
2 things that I thought that I was over with when I arrived in the United States and became a U.S. citizen. One, that I would never talk about my past history of being born in a re-education camp some 40-odd years later. We're just now coming to our attention.
Yeah.
But he was born in a re-education camp. They've been doing this for over 40 years.
Longer than 40 years.
We are talking about similar circumstances. 2, that I should be able to speak my mind. That is not happening to its full extent. Rubio responded by noting that every American company doing business with China is complicit in their harassment of U.S. citizens like Turkle and the widespread human rights abuses in China because our partner in business is the communist Chinese partner. And go ahead and play some of this testimony.
Salam, and thank you for having me today. In 2017, China's Xinjiang region embarked on the probably largest incarceration of an ethno-religious minority since the Holocaust. Despite international criticism, Beijing has persisted in this campaign. The reason for this is now clear. All along, there was a long-term strategy behind it. What I'm presenting today is in a number of ways more shocking than the re-education campaign itself.
You can turn on the subtitles.
It is more long-term, more all-encompassing, more intrusive, and more devious. Within this grand scheme, the camps only represent one piece of an entire puzzle. Beijing's long-term strategy in Xinjiang is predicated upon a perverse combination of coercive training and labor, intergenerational separation, and complete control over family units. Much of this is being implemented under the heading and guise of poverty alleviation. In my research, I've identified 3 schemes by which the state seeks to place the vast majority of minority adults into different forms of coercive or at least involuntary labor. Flow 1 pertains to persons in vocational training internment camps. Camp detainees can end up in factories, on internment camp compounds, in industrial parks, which can be located near camps or the camps in them, or village satellite factories. The employing companies receive a 1,800 Chinese yuan state subsidy for each internment camp laborer they train, 5,000 yuan for each they employ, and a shipping cost subsidy of 4% of their sales volume. In 2018, Huafu Corporation, which operates the world's largest dyed yarn production in Xinjiang, received $500 million Chinese yuan, or 71 million US dollars, in subsidies from the Xinjiang government. This means that Beijing is now turning its internment campaign into a business of oppression, where participating companies benefit not only from huge government subsidies, but also from cheap minority labor. As a result, they will be able to undercut global prices and turn Made in Xinjiang into a multi-billion-dollar business model. In one document, a company was promised the free use of factories. The government paid for 2/3 of the upfront investment cost and provided 500 internment camp laborers with accompanying police guards. The factories came with security equipment pre-installed and are being run in a semi-military style management fashion. In 2018, several Uyghur counties established large factory compounds explicitly designed to employ internment camp labor. One county alone commissioned a factory park with 335,000 square foot of floor space to be constructed directly on an internment camp compound, providing forced labor for 1,560 camp detainees.
Wow.
Flow 2 in this scheme pertains to a vast government scheme that puts hundreds of thousands of so-called rural surplus laborers into centralized training lasting between 1 and 3 months, involving 1 month of military drill in order to produce standardized behavior, 1 month of political thought indoctrination, and 1 month of vocational skills training. Workers are then sent off to their new work destination in large groups and live in factory dormitories, often far from home. This process might not be as coercive as internment camp labor, but it shares many similar features, indicating a high degree of coercion. Flow 3 places rural Uyghur women into village factories equipped with nurseries for infants as young as a few months old. Uyghur women are traditionally resistant to full-time work because they care for the elderly and children. Government village work teams have been working overtime to quote-unquote convince these women and their parents of the benefits of full-time factory labor. Government documents note that factory work transforms women away from traditional customs and backward thinking and propels them into modernity. One propaganda text on Uyghur women in a textile factory states that the process of de-extremification causes minority workers to become quote-unquote born again. The Chinese term here used for born again is the same as in the Chinese Bible, where Jesus says you must be born again. Forced labor is equated with salvation. A particular concern is that all of these labor flows are mixing beyond recognition. Graduates from internment camps now work alongside workers from flows 2 and 3. Products made by any combination of these workers are then either directly exported or shipped to Eastern China, where they may form components of products or be repackaged, relabeled, and then exported. As a result, many or most products made in China that rely at least in part on low-skilled, labor-intensive manufacturing can contain elements of involuntary ethnic minority labor from Xinjiang. My findings call for a global investigation of supply chains involving any Chinese products or product components. The burden of proof should be shifted onto the Chinese companies. By declaring any low-skilled, labor-intensive item manufactured in Xinjiang as potentially tainted with some form of coercive minority labor, Chinese companies that seek to export such products to the United States should conclusively prove that these products have no connection to Xinjiang. If they do, then relevant research teams must be permitted to conduct full and randomized authentic due diligence audits in Xinjiang's factories, villages, and internment camps. Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much, Mr. Churchill.
Is that it?
No, keep going.
Keep going.
Wanted to hear it.
Oh, great, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman McGovern. Thank you, Co-Chair Rubio. And thanks to the other members of the Commission for directing the attention of Congress to the abominable crimes committed against Uyghur people in East Turkestan that China calls Xinjiang. Even as we speak, these crimes are tainting American consumer products. I'm here to urge Congress to strong action to end the unwittingly complicity of the American public to create a legislative mandate for much stronger U.S. government response to the ongoing Uyghur crisis by passing the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act without further delay. Forced labor is a deeply embedded tool of repression, punishment, and control in China. Over a decade ago, in 2008, the Uyghur Human Rights Project reported on the systematic program of coercive labor transfer that targeted young Uyghur women to be sent to factories in coastal Chinese provinces. The authorities used a combination of deception, pressure, and threats to round up thousands of young Uyghurs against their will. These programs had dual effect of separating families and placing Uyghurs in involuntary factory settings far from home. Today we're seeing a convergence of the Strike Hard campaign of mass internment with a pre-existing state plan to relocate the textile industry to the Uyghur region. As documented in the recently published report by Citizen Power for China, new subsidies encourage companies to shift factories to the region. Government documents outline a plan to have at least 1 million textile industry jobs in the region by 2023. The manager of a factory known to use detained labor camps stated in a TV interview, quote, "With the support of the government, we have already recruited more than 600 people. We plan to reach 1,000 workers by the end of this year. We plan to provide jobs to 1,500 people by the end of 2019, end unquote. One of those workers reported that she got paid less than half of the minimum wage. She was also not allowed to leave and continued to endure forced indoctrination and was threatened with being sent back to the camp if she refused to sign a contract. We want to thank CBP for its October 7 withhold release order on goods produced by Hetian Taida in a factory in the Hotan Vocational Education Training Center. But it's extremely disturbing that U.S. companies were still sourcing from the company until then. 2 weeks ago, baby clothes produced by Hetian Taida were in the shelves at Costco. The company has now pulled these products, but it's hard to understand how the goods got to the store shelves in the first place, given how long this information has been public.
Wow.
But it is not just Hetian Taida. U.S. enforcement must step up the pressure that all goods sourced from the companies in the Uyghur region receive scrutiny commensurate with the extremely high risk of forced labor in the supply chain. Asphyxiating social control facilitates forced and involuntary labor. The techno-totalitarian system of surveillance, intimidation put in place by Xinjiang authorities means that any attempt to resist orders puts one's family at great risk. As in the case of 2008 labor transfer program to eastern factories, many Uyghurs are currently being forced to work in factories under the so-called poverty alleviation program. Uyghurs don't have a choice. Refusing to participate in these programs could result in being sent to the camps.
Wow.
This is the same dynamic as in the state program encouraging marriage between ethnic Han Chinese men and Uyghur women, which has promoted and celebrated in state media outlets.
It's like ethnic cleansing.
Uyghur women's consent to these marriages must be assumed in the vast majority of cases given under extreme duress. If a young Uyghur woman to decline a marriage proposal from a Han Chinese man, she and her family could be labeled as extremists and sent to the camps. Uyghurs cannot say no. As a Uyghur individual living overseas recently described to the BBC that there's an atmosphere of horror. Quote, everyone feels like they've been watched all the time. There's a huge sense of fear. People tell me they sleep in their clothes because no one knows whether at night they might be taken away, unquote.
Wow.
Uyghurs outside of China are also subject to extraterritorial surveillance and coercion. Our latest report on this issue documents these ongoing and flagrant violation of federal law on U.S. soil. As one Uyghur American said about being contacted by Chinese state security agents, they're telling us, quote, we're watching you. Wherever you go, still you are Chinese, unquote. Even though you're outside of China, it does not mean that they can't do something to you because they have your friends, children, parents, and relatives. Agents of foreign power are surveilling and terrorizing our own fellow American citizens with threats to send their remaining family members to the camps if they speak out about what is happening in their homeland. Given this system of intimidation and terror, both inside and outside of China, corporate supply chain due diligence is impossible. The complete secrecy surrounding the camps and horrific means of total control that is hanging over those who are not in the camps means that the free flow of information has been cut off to an extent rarely seen in modern times. No independent auditor or supply chain certification process can collect reliable information from workers, factory management, and local government. No interviews can be treated as uncoerced. Because due diligence is impossible, no company can provide assurance that products sourced in the Uyghur region qualify for legal import into the United States or any country that bans the import of forced labor products. If existing legal authorities are insufficient for Customs and Border Protection Agency to issue withhold release orders, commensurate with the risk of allowing illegal goods into the United States, Congress must act to shift the burden of proof to the companies
you can pause it
that
there.
wish to import products sourced Xinjiang or produced with the Xinjiang source cut.
Okay, this is a small part of the craziness that's happening in China. And what's so insane about it is that you have a Hillary Clinton and you have these deep states and they say Russia, Russia, Russia. And almost to the point where if there is a country who does pose an existential threat,
right,
it's treated as the boy who cried wolf. China has been, is I mean, I remember watching a movie when we were a kid. It was called China Cry, and it was about a
really intense
woman who would not give up her Christian faith, and she was finally able to leave with her child.
Right.
And I was always touched by that, and I always knew that China was, you know, a communist country, and they persecuted Christians and things like that. But we have this real disconnect because China has opened up their doors to manufacturing and American companies that you have to wonder, why is this still going on in 2019? And it's because the companies don't care. Big corporations don't care. They didn't go over there to help be some sort of bastion of freedom. They went over there for money. And when your bottom line and your dollar is the same in line with the Chinese company, just like, who was it? Nike said, you know, hey, China's China. We're going to be Chinese company in China. But over here, they're going to be the whole, you know, human rights, social justice warrior.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of Muslim countries where women are treated as second-class citizens, and people are okay with that because they're like, well, that's just their culture.
Right.
No, a human rights violation is a human rights violation, regardless of how you dice it or what the culture is.
Right, how you slice it or dice it. Exactly. So we're going to continue to bring China being exposed. And I'm just excited about this man coming forward and talking about the Uyghurs, however you want to pronounce it. He said Uyghurs, so we're going to try to pronounce that right. But it is, I think that the way he said that the baby clothes were produced and they put on the shelves in Costco from these, I guess it was 1.2 million items of baby pajamas and sleeper blankets with the destination of Costco. And it was China produces a fourth of the world's cotton, and Xinjiang produces 84% of that. It was extremely disturbing that Costco had these articles of clothing produced by, most likely, the
slave labor.
You can call them concentration camps. It's hard to get information out. Because they are stuck in these slavery concentration camps. It says that reports of the reality of Xinjiang concentration camps are few and far between, and mostly come from the Kazakhs or the Kyrgyz people whose relatives managed to levy their ethnic identity to get nations like Kazakhstan to get them out. Seyrugal Setbay, a Kazakh woman who escaped slavery in Xinjiang concentration camp, told the Harats in a story published on Thursday. Is she actually eating it? No, okay, she's okay. In a story published Thursday that she was forced to teach Mandarin, which is the only language Beijing recognized as authentic Chinese. They regularly saw inmates beaten, tortured, bloodied, and used for medical experiments and raped.
Wow.
On one occasion, she told the newspaper that she and about 200 others were forced to witness a gang rape by police, and those who winced or seemed uncomfortable were punished with torture. One day, the police, I'm not going to even read it out loud, other women who have escaped have been subject to forced sterilization, forced abortions after multiple rapes, and had their organs screened for viability as an unwilling donor. Survivors say that young men were also raped and sterilized. China claims the camps are vocational training centers for people vulnerable to becoming jihadists.
So, you know, here's the good news, Jim Jordan. And that is the fact that this is being mainstream exposed now.
Yes.
Trump talks about it. Tucker has talked about it. Everybody is exposing this in China. And so you just asked the question, how can this be happening in 2019?
Right.
Well, I think we are about to see it come to a halt because we've got Mike Pence literally pressuring the Chinese. We've got Trump saying, listen, we're not going to be doing dealings with you guys if you continue to have these human rights violations.
Right.
This is really amazing. And so for people that were kind of middle of the road on Trump voting, you know, or even people that were kind of against him, but not like, you know, the crazed against him, just like people like, I don't really like him, I don't want to vote for him, I disagree. He is actually getting things done that are bipartisan around the world. Like everybody should be excited about this. You can't just not be excited about it because you dislike the man.
Right, exactly. So I'm going to move on to a couple more stories, just because these were interesting to me, popped out kind of under the radar stories. ICE deports a convicted terrorist who tried to bomb New York City. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deported a Sudanese national who was involved in a large-scale terror scheme to blow up the United Nations and other areas in New York City. The agency deported Ammar Abdelghani, a 59-year-old convicted terrorist, back to his home country of Sudan on October 12th. His removal marks the close of a decades-long reprimand after a jury convicted him in 1996 of a foiled terrorist plot targeting major landmarks around the country's most populous city. The removal of this convicted terrorist is a strong declaration of ICE's commitment to public safety and national security. This removal is a victory for the United States and further emphasizes ICE's vital role in protecting our nation. U.S. authorities apprehended Abdelghani, then 33 years old, in 1993 for his involvement in a terrorist conspiracy to blow up the United Nations, FBI offices, and other prominent New York City locations as part of a planned holy war against the U.S. Sikh Omar Abdul Rahman, a radical Muslim cleric from Egypt who led the scheme according to court documents. And then he was, along with 9 other defendants, was convicted. And they had it. ICE had it says an immigration judge ordered that he be removed from the country in 2001. However, his deportation was not executed until he finished his prison sentence, which ended in July. ICE had a retainer for him since 2001 at the conclusion of his prison term.
Hey, cause
what?
Okay. No, it's fine.
ICE's enforcement removal operations. She needs something really she can chew on. There goes
This
George.
was George Washington from Brian Sokolowski.
Okay. That's not the dog's fault. We need better chew things. Where's the chew
This
things?
wasn't for the dog.
No, we need better chew
It was
things.
actually hanging up above dog height almost.
She needs
look
a
at
chew
poor
thing.
George.
It's not her
Look
fault.
at George.
It's not
That's
her
a
fault.
disgrace
George,
to George.
I mean, you have to admit, it kind of looks like a dog toy. It's kind of fluffy. Poor George. Poor George.
He's praying.
I like to see it,
And I'm
George.
literally not ever telling what happened, what she did the other day when y'all saw me freak out.
It's not our fault. I need to go to the store and get some rawhides.
We have a lot of dog toys here.
We do not have enough dog. No, they're all destuffed. They're not good chew things.
Why are they destuffed?
Because they've been destuffed over time.
Because they've been disemboweled.
She needs a good chew thing.
We have these dogs that are with us for 3 weeks.
And I need to go get some more rawhides.
I'm going to get you a chew.
ICE has deported or returned a
believe
total of 258,000 aliens in the fiscal year of 2018. So he was wandering around the streets of the United States and they sent him back to Sudanese, and I'm happy about that. During the Trump rally, I didn't play this guys for you, in Texas, Trump played, let's see if I can find the clips. Oh no, he talked about Beto. I thought maybe this would have a link to the videos, but it doesn't. But he talked about Beto, and he called him dumb. He says, in the home state of Representative Robert Beto O'Rourke, who has plunged in the polls, Trump attacked the former congressman, calling him dumb for pledging to revoke the tax-exempt status of many churches and religious charities and take away your guns. O'Rourke says that any church that refuses to perform same-sex marriages should lose all federal tax exemptions and wants to seize AR-15s and other military-style rifles from owners. Trump said, in just a few short weeks, he got rid of guns, he got rid of religion, and in Texas, that doesn't work. I thought that was pretty cool. This is just in, and 38 people cited for violations in Hillary Clinton's email investigation. Some may face disciplinary action. Who's going to jail? That's what I want to know. The State Department completed an internal investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server system and cited 38 people for violations, and some may face disciplinary action. The Associated Press reported that the State Department determined that 38 people were culpable in a whopping 91 cases of sending classified material and emails that ended up on Hillary Clinton's private server. The department determined that those 38 people were culpable in 91 cases of sending classified information, flag, you can get away from me, in messages that ended up in Clinton's personal email. The 38 are current and former State Department officials, but were not identified in the report that was sent to Congress this week. The investigation covered 33,000 emails. So we'll see if anybody actually gets... is at all punished for that, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And then another one with James O'Keefe. He teases very serious allegations have been made against CNN executives. Stay tuned for next week. So that's not over this week with James O'Keefe's CNN drops. James O'Keefe taunted CNN Friday today after the Trump's campaign threatened to sue CNN over the pro-impeachment bias following Project Veritas' undercover expose. Project Veritas released parts 1 through 3.
Do you think that O'Keefe got like a phone call from Trump after this? I think it deserves a phone call. And maybe even that guy, his name's Kerry, I think. The whistleblower.
Oh, I don't know his name though.
I think it is Kerry, because I want to say Corey.
So, this is James O'Keefe. Oh.
So I just got off the phone with a CNN executive.
See if you can hear that.
Where I asked him for...
About some very, very serious charges leveled against him. Early next week will be the next installment of our exposed...
She's fine, I gave her a thing.
CNN story. Stay tuned.
His Veritas varsity jackets are
funny.
so adorable. Yeah, it's really
funny.
great.
Oh, okay, so we're going to end with this. This one was so funny to me. Oh, I'm so glad I have this. We're going to end with something funny.
Rowe!
So Mike Rowe has a new book out, and he was on Tucker. But what really got me is he was on Fox and Friends, and he was talking about the Dem debate, and he goes, you have millionaires trying to out-millionaire each other about how much they hate millionaires. So we're going to end with this segment here. It's so funny.
When you have a 500,000 Americans sleeping out on the street today, and then you also have 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society, that is a moral and economic outrage. So if you're asking me, do I think we should demand that the wealthy start paying the wealthiest, top 0.1%, start paying their fair share of taxes? Yes, that's exactly what I believe.
Taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. We need a wealth tax in order to make investments in the next generation.
Okay, well, that's one way to pay for it. Mike Rowe, TV host and author of a brand new book. It's called The Way I Heard It. Joins us live right now. Mike, I know you were traveling, promoting your brand new book.
Terribly busy, Steve.
You were on my radio
show
yesterday. That was the highlight.
Not that busy.
Bernie Sanders, among other things, wants a 97% tax rate on the 400 richest Americans because he's got big plans with a big price tag.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a free country. Ideas, float them, fly them, run them up the old flagpole, see who salutes. Look, in the end, you've got millionaires arguing with millionaires over who hates the millionaires the most.
Right.
And I guess it's a conversation we'll have, but I remember a couple years ago, I took my my meager staff over to the Reagan Ranch. You know, if you haven't been, it's terrific. But one of the stories they tell is the time when Ronald Reagan just finally decided he was done doing movies. He was just done because he was paying 92% of every dollar he made on films. And it was just math. You know, he wasn't done acting. He just looked at it and did some basic calculus and said, not for me anymore. It makes no sense to do this.
So the wealthiest people will just say, I'm not working anymore.
I live in California. I just read a report that said the exodus this year as a result of a 13.5% state tax and some other tweaks to the system is unlike anything they've ever seen before. So I know it's convenient. It's fun to kind of hate the rich and all, but in the end, they're just people, and they're going to do the math, and they're going to go to where the math is better.
I'll tell you, this is what I thought about you during the debate, the guaranteed income. They had 2 or 3 of the candidates saying, get $1,000 because automation's here, and you're not going to be able to get a job, so let's give people $1,000.
Why not 2,000?
Maybe more. Why not?
Why not 3?
So all you do is hang out with people that work for a living, and you try to find out about their jobs, dirty jobs, is when you really emerge. And when you see people giving money away, what does it do for the self-esteem when you get something for free?
You can't ignore the human condition. We're fundamentally lazy people. We have to be taught, I think, to not be lazy.
Don't call Ainsley that. I don't mind if you call me that. But please.
I'm calling you fundamental. I'm calling me lazy.
I think that's worse.
Well, I'm just saying that, you know, if you give me a choice, and I don't see myself as lazy, but if you give me a choice of the easy way or the hard way, I can't help it. I'm going to default to the easy way.
Wait. free money?
Free money.
I want it.
So, look, my only concern, not my only concern, but my biggest concern with that kind of arguing is exactly what we discussed yesterday and just now. Once you say, okay, free money, the next question has to be, why not more? And that's the beef with the $5,000 surge in the middle class right now. How do you argue against that? You simply say it's not big enough.
Right.
Why not 10?
Incomes of the middle class have gone up $5,000 per family during the Trump years. So
right. Yeah, not enough. Sorry.
How's that going to fare election time? I mean, the economy's great. People have 5,000 more each year.
If I learned anything from 2016, I don't know. And looking at polls today, but you guys tell me. I flick around all over the place, and I still see people looking at polls and saying, based on the poll, ...
Every day.
Why would anybody look at any poll anywhere and conclude anything ever?
I agree, but the one thing that's going to help you, and if you ever go back to dirty jobs, is these trade deals allow manufacturing to come back to this country where the middle class can reestablish itself. And that seems to be the theme, and I don't think Democrats are pushing back on it. Let's talk about your book, even though I know you don't want to discuss it. The book is now number.
All right, so there's
That's
that.
really fun.
And millionaires trying to who hate the millionaires the most.
Right. Yeah.
So that's basically the Democrat debate. So you didn't have to watch it. We watched parts of it. It was incredibly boring. You break it down. I think Elizabeth Warren had 14 or 15 minutes in speaking time compared to Tulsi Gabbard had 6.5. So they definitely fared. It didn't fare well for CNN's Project Veritas coming out saying
it's so great. This is really exciting. I'm just so excited to see how this unfolds. I mean, guys, we are literally on the 1 year, almost 365-day countdown to election 2020. What is going to happen between now and then is going to blow your minds. I mean, it's going to be the most epic year. It's going to be more epic than Hillary Clinton. That was done. I mean, we're done with that. That's old. That's a has-been. Even if she comes back, it's going to be totally different.
It's going to be an
It's so exciting. It is. It's to me, this is a very exciting time to be alive. So I'm really glad that you guys were here with us today. When I went upstairs to get a chew toy for the dog, I found a box on our front porch. Now, normally, I don't know who it is that has our addresses, but occasionally I do get stuff here instead of at the P.O. box. It was International Priority Royal Mail, and sometimes we actually do order products. It's very, very rare that they will come. We got seeds, I think, one time that we ordered that came Royal Mail. But I'm going to guess, and I didn't open it up beyond to see what was inside of it, because I want our reactions to be very on Sunday is what I'm getting to.
How did you find out what you said? I didn't open it up beyond to see what was inside of it.
Meaning I just kind of peeked, and I could see the little label. It said hats. Okay. Now, I have a mental visual given the type of hat that I saw when I opened the box, and I closed it back up, what it was. I'm very excited about these hats. And so I want you to get excited about Sunday because we are going to start the show out opening up the box,
Royal Mail,
putting the hats on, and wearing the hats for the entire program.
Okay.
So Sunday's show is going to be really fun because every time I have a feeling I could see what they were. Okay, I'll give you a hint. They had some mesh cloth with them.
Mesh cloth?
Think British mesh cloth. And it's so I'm very excited about this. Like I'm so excited about Sunday. So Sunday's show is going to be really fun. We will be in costume. I'm going to have to come up with something now that I know kind of what hat it is, what I'm going to make Leah wear. I'm not going to let her look in the box. So I don't know
Ready?
Who sent this.
Bailey.
I don't know which
Bailey.
one of you. Send me a
Bailey.
message. Let me know that you're the one that sent it. No, Maya. I'm not a present opener. I needed to see if it was a product that we ordered because it was sent directly from the company. Or if it was, there was no way. If it was something that we ordered, how am I supposed to know unless I open it up? And obviously, we did not order
I got a little
what's in the
scratch
box.
on my bottom lip because in the middle of the night, another dog decided to jump on my face, in my mouth, to get onto the bed next to me. And then I had a little scratch.
So it was like your face was like a vault.
It was like, and I was like, whoa, mouthful of foot. I never had that one happen before. That was a new one. Ow.
I'm sorry about that. So we do have a P.O. box that you can mail things to. 107 Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters or cards, we do want to hear from you. Thank you, Lori, for this. And we will read them on air.
9th if you want to send a birthday card.
Okay, yes, a card would be very nice to hear from you guys. Cards are very
nice.
fun.
Yeah. There we go.
So we'll be back on Sunday. Great
1
show
o'clock.
in costume.
Yeah.
1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to give you the latest in what's going on in
Oh
Brexit.
my word,
Okay, now hang on.
We did not have time. We do UK news on Sundays. I realize that tomorrow's a big day.
It's possible that we may go live tomorrow and wear the hats tomorrow. I think we should actually do that tomorrow. We're going to count on it tomorrow.
We'll see what happens.
I want to do the hats tomorrow.
We'll see, because everybody knows to come on Sunday at 1. And so we may just have to hang on to it. We'll see. We'll see. Right. We will see. We might have like a pre-show show.
Okay. Well, anyway, tomorrow's a big day. It's Deal or No Deal Saturday in Parliament. So we're going to find out whether this deal that Bojo got with the EU is going to pass Parliament. The DUP, the Irish Party, Northern Ireland, has agreed or has said they're not going to vote for it. Forget it. It's not going to happen. So they're not getting any of those votes. Now, presumably, if
Nigel says, please don't vote for it, it's stupid.
If the deal does not pass,
better than he says, Nigel.
The default of the Ben Act is that they would leave with no deal on October 31st.
And I believe,
So tomorrow is going to be a very telling day. So I hope that we have the opportunity and the time to do a show tomorrow. Horatio and Britt Bozaberry has sent us a lot of links as well. Horatio tells me that it should be sometime after 2 p.m. Our time. So I really don't know. So
it is.
Stephen Ainsworth says it's still a bad deal.
That's what I understand. That's from what I understand.
I agree.
By hearing some of the details. You wouldn't be able to make a better deal than the EU makes with other countries. The fishing waters would still be split, and there would be some other things that, and so it's still a bad
I was
deal.
disappointed because Rees-Mogg came out with a propaganda video, pretty much saying this is I can be enthusiastic and support this, and I was just kind of like,
wonder what your sister says.
All right, you guys, we love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. All right. God bless, guys.
I was caught